Enigma, How the Moon Got Its Face by Stephen Delorier. A crane was startled from the marsh. Enigma watched dreamily as the spaceship blasted off to the moon. His faithful dog, Mission, dreamily eyed the crane. Living near Kennedy Space Center, Enigma had watched every one of the launchings. This time his gaze lingered long after the huge rocket disappeared. Mission, the dog, nuzzled his hand, bringing him back to Earth. As a child, Enigma would be outside playing with his hot rod shuttle when his mother would yell, "Come in and do your homework." He had wanted to be an astronaut, but his marks were low in science. Enigma grew up to become a mime artist. He could tell amazing stories just by silently moving his body with physical eloquence. Mission used to tag along when Enigma went to the city to do his act. As each performance ended, Mission would pass the hat around. Although Enigma became famous as a pantomime, he longed for something greater. When he showered, he would daydream of performing on the moon. The moon colony was finally finished. Enigma was approached to fulfill his wildest dream, to go there and entertain the troops. As Enigma blasted off, he imagined that Mission, his dog, must be just a tiny speck, a freckle on the face of Earth. Upon landing, Enigma was immediately asked to perform. Still dressed in his bulky spacesuit, he was led to the stage. The colonists were all in their spacesuits too, waiting outside in an amphitheater carved out of a giant crater. Enigma started with a skit called How the Moon Got Its Face. Since the dawn of time, he mimed, man has done terrible things to one another. Each time a person did something terrible to someone, a star would fall like a tear striking the moon. So many injustices over the course of time had turned the surface of the moon to dust. Each meteorite left a crater that could never be erased. So that is why the moon has a sad face. It was difficult for Enigma to make the moves that he was accustomed to because his weight was much less than what it was on Earth. With his awkward spacesuit, he bounced around and slipped in the moon dust. His pantomime didn't make any sense. His expressive face was hidden behind the face shield, so no one could understand what his skit was all about. They didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Enigma's own image was reflected in each of the colonists' face shields, much like the bank of television sets in an appliance store, all on the same channel. No one knew how to react, so they just sat there in silence. Enigma was disheartened. This was the most moving number. When he performed this on Earth, people had been moved to tears. The commander sensed things weren't going well. He took the young mime aside and suggested that they set up to do the performance inside. This gave Enigma time to think. Why must I have the greatest and worst moment of my life in the same instance? Just then he looked out the porthole and saw an Earth rise. With its atmospheric halo, the Earth was a blue jewel displayed on a black velvet with a million black diamond stars. Then he realized that he had been blessed with an incredible gift, to see the Earth shining from the heavens. The next day, Enigma performed after getting used to the weight difference. With his expressive face unmasked, he leapt into the air and pulled his body into the shape of a tear, then came down gently to draw a circle of moon dust. This time, though, Enigma mimed how the moon could have a happy face. The shower faded. Enigma, it's time to do your homework. The end.